Hello, sixth graders. This is Mr. Shear, and I hope your morning is off to a great start. You'll notice that today we're doing Chapter 2, Lesson 3 from your book, and you might notice we did skip Chapter 2, Lesson 2. We will probably come back to that one, but we're going to jump ahead to Chapter 2, Lesson 3. It's on converting percents and decimals. So, two major concepts today. First part of this video, we're going to talk about how to convert a decimal into a percent. And on the second part of the video, we're going to talk about going the other way, taking a percent and converting it into a decimal. So back and forth between the two. But first, I want to talk a little bit about percents, because we haven't talked about percents at all this year. And this is a little introduction just about what percents are and what they do. So a percent takes everything and makes it out of 100. So the total amount you can get on something is 100. Now you can get over 100% if you go above and beyond or do extra, but a percent takes everything and thinks of it in terms of 100. So if Brian had a math test and he got 22 out of 25, well, percent would say he would get 88 out of 100 at that same rate, or 88%. But again, it's important to notice that it's out of 100. And what a percent does is say, okay, you got 22 out of 25. With that same rate, how many would you get out of 100? 88. So Sarah had a birthday party. 19 out of 20 guests showed up to the party. What a percent would say is that at that same rate, 95 out of 100 guests would show up. And again, the big thing I want you to know is percents take everything and make it out of 100. So, as far as decimals and percents go, you're really concerned with the hundredths place because percents are out of 100. So here's a decimal, 0.45. This is 45 hundredths, or 45 out of 100. So that's the same as 45%. And to do percents, it's really important to know your decimal place value, but it's really important that you be able to identify the hundredths place. 0.45 is 45 out of 100, which is 45%. Now to convert a decimal, again, you want to know where the hundredths place is. It's 2 points past the decimal. To convert a decimal to a percent, you just need to move the decimal 2 places to the right. So here's 0.36, and to make that into a percent, you just need to move the decimal 2 places to the right, and that's 36%. This might sound really easy right now because it is, and not today, but in a future lesson, the next lesson, we're going to have longer decimals and harder numbers to deal with. But for today, most of the numbers are 2 decimal places. So it's 0.36, which is 36 hundredths, which is 36%. Move the decimal 2 to the right. So 0.38, again, move the decimal 2 to the right. 0.38 is 38%. What about if you have a number like this? 0.4, that's 4/10. Well, again, the hundredths place is the most important, so you still need to move it 2 to the right. You just have to add a 0. So 0.4/10, what you really want to think of that is 40 hundredths. Move it 2 to the right. 0.4 equals 40%. So the short version is to change a decimal to a percent, always move the decimal 2 places to the right. Okay, what about going back the other way? This is part 2. So the second half of your assignment today is taking a percent and changing it to a decimal. So the hundredth place is still important, but instead of going to the right, to change a percent to a decimal, move the decimal 2 places to the left. So here's a percent. There's no decimal, but there's always a decimal at the end of a whole number. It's just we don't write it, so it's really right here, right after the 6, and you would move it 2 to the left. 0.56. 56% is the same as 56 hundredths. So again, we have 2%. Imagine a decimal right after this 2, and if you move it 2 places to the left, you're going to end up with a decimal that's 0.02. 2 out of 100, 2 hundredths, 2%. I hope that works for you. So to recap, to take a decimal and change it into a percent, move it 2 to the right, and to take a percent and change it into a decimal, move it 2 to the left. We're going to practice this today together at our meet. We'll go over this a little bit more, but your assignment today is a book assignment. It's pages 113 and 115 from your book. And as always, sixth graders, if you have questions, you can email me. Put your answers on the answer key. And thanks again for watching. Hope the rest of your day goes great.